Day. Thank you for joining. Please give me thumbs up if you can hear me. Thank you very much. It's a good time to invite your friends, your colleague, let them know that we are on and we are live today. Today we are talking about everything global talent visa, settle in the UK, and our coach is already in the room. So you want to invite your friends, you want to invite your colleague, you want to forward this link to anyone you know that is interested in a global talent visa or is interested in relocating with the tech route. If you have friends in the UK looking to switch visa route, this is the perfect session for them to join. And if you're already in the chat, do well to introduce yourself. Let us know, share your LinkedIn profile. Let us know your technology stack. Let us know where you're joining from so that we can tailor the conversation to suit you. Right. I'm looking at the charts. I want to have a feel of where are you joining from? Are you a developer? Are you an AI specialist? Are you into product management? Let us know in the chat. Hope this is not a shy crowd. I haven't seen where you guys are joining from. Or are we still settling in? All right. From Ghana. Thanks for being here. Data science. Fantastic. Data is the new oil and gas. We used to say that. I think it's not AI. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Where's every other person joining from? And what technology are they using? What's your skill sets? Let us know. All right. We will commence and just give some housekeeping from Glasgow. You're welcome. Product marketing, fantastic. Thank you for joining. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right. Thank you. Welcome to Emigrate. Open Day. Emigrate is a tech-enabled platform for relocation and settlement. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. We talk about everything tech in this community. It's a very vibrant and robust community, and we host Emigrate Open Day to be able to give you information that you can use. So get your pen, get your notepad, ask your questions, write your questions in the chat. As we progress, we'll get to the questions. Use the chat community, network with the chat community also, the chat functionality, I should say. Let us know where you're joining from. Let us know what you're building. Let us know your preference in terms of the technology you're leveraging, right? And if you have any question, please put it in the chat. We'll get to it. We have our coach in the room already, right? And here we go. So Emigrate is a tech-enabled platform for relocation and settlement. Like I mentioned before, today we're talking about settle in the UK as a global talent. So if you've been hearing about global talent and you're wondering what is global talent, what is this about? This is a perfect edition you have joined. We would explain that our coach, Francisca Otu, is in the room already, and she would be sharing a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, right? She's a global talent, right? And she shares a lot around the topic, becoming global talent. And you would thoroughly enjoy this session. So stay glued. And as usual, I come bearing gift at the end of the conversation. I will give a gift to those who stay to the end of the conversation tonight. Right. We've had several editions in the past, and you can find them on our app. Right. You can find them on our app. So if you don't have the app yet, do where to download it. And you can also find many information about us on our website. Right. Do where to search us out. And we have lots of resources on YouTube. This community, 85% of what we do is free. We have loads of free information that you can use that are available with a simple Google search. But to make it all worth it, we have put everything in the app so you don't have to search for long or search a wide through the web. You can just go through the app and you'll find useful information. Our app is hosted on Apple Store, on Google Play Store, and you can find the link through emigrateVisa.com also. Right. In the past, we've talked about various opportunity leveraging on tech, from exploring the O1 visa for the US to the EB1 visa for the US to the Canada startup visa, right, to the French visa, to the Australian national visa, and of course, the global talent visa for the UK, right? We do have these information or these sessions recorded. These are materials you can find on the app. Do where to leverage on them. If this is your first time, welcome. If you are a return guest, welcome. Hope your journey is going smoothly. If you have any information, any blocker, it's a perfect opportunity to use the chat to ask those questions. And because of the constraints of time, will not be able to attend to all questions. So the earlier you ask your question, the better, the faster we get to it, right? So don't wait to the end to ask your question. Just ask the question as it comes to you, right? Migrate to Emigrate, it's the platform that we run, right? And it starts from emigrateVisa.com/tech visa. That's where you want to go to, right? Let us know who you are. Let us know what you're looking out for. There's a short form that you can use in introducing yourself. You can also reach us through our website, through our app, right? And our communities. So we have a community on WhatsApp, on Telegram, and we also have an AI community if you want to be part of that. We have our web solution, we have our app solution. Feel free to network with us. Feel free to even use our community events such as this to reach out to us. You can drop a message if you have any thoughts, any information, or you want to unpack any knowledge base, you can reach us through any of these medium. Right? So you're welcome. Settle in the UK, it's a campaign that we are running, and we've been running it for a while because it touches on every part of tech, right? If you're a beginner, you can leverage on this package. It's a package that we do offer, right? It's very beginner friendly. It's also intermediate friendly. It's also expert friendly. So if you're in any of the category, if you're just an enthusiast or you're a beginner, you're trying to switch into tech, this package encompasses all of these experiences and we can share with you, right? You can move with your dependent. This is one of the benefits of the global talent visa, right? And most tech visas that are available allows you to move with your dependent. By your dependent, we mean your spouse, your kids, all right? They can come along with your immediate family, right? It's also available if you're switching visa, if you're already on a work visa that's not friendly to you, right? And you want to switch to a more friendly visa. The global talent visa is one to consider, and it's part of our settle in the UK package, right? It takes a 3 to 6 month timeline, right, to get you there, right? And what we are going to be doing in those 3 to 6 months is to make sure you have the right profile. So we'll be profiling you, make sure you have the right you have the right requirement that meets some of the criteria that the endorsing bodies have marked out for anybody that will be endorsed to be able to prevent evidence against. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be doing within the 3 to 6 months mark. If you're interested in this, please do send us a WhatsApp message or a text message to the number on the slide, or go to emigrateVisa.com. Again, there's a short form there. We want to know where you are, what you are doing, and your timeline, how fast you want to move and what visa route you're interested in. It's a very simple form, and we can use that to connect you with the right coach, the right mentor, and the right resource that you would find useful. Again, we are immigrants. What we do is to make you become globally attractive. For us, the visa is a side effect of our objective. Our objective is to make sure that you are competitive in the global market, right? And how we do this is to help you profile your tech profile, right? Or review your tech profile, right? And also review your tech-enabled business profile. So this is not just limited to individual. You can also become globally attractive. You can make your startup, your business globally attractive by positioning it in a global scale, in a global ecosystem. All right, so that's why we're here, right? If you have a startup, if you're a founder, or you're just an individual that is building your portfolio, right? You want to position yourself in the global market rightly, and you want the right tech profile for that. And that is why Immigrate exists, right? And for us, the visa is the benefit of being globally attractive. Many nations will open up their borders for you and will allow you come in because they know you're coming to contribute to their GDP by creating job opportunity with your startup or with your business idea, or by closing the gap by picking up jobs, right, within their economy and ultimately contribute through taxes and other contribution to their GDP. So it's a win-win. So I would like people to think from that perspective. You're not trying to escape from your economy to a new economy. You're just migrating and you're contributing to a global economy, right? And so if you're if it's your first time, you're probably wondering what kind of services does Emigrate cover, right? It may interest you to know that you're in one of our free sessions. So this is our information session and general inquiry session, right? These are services we offer and it's for free. We also have coaching session and hand-holding session. We have assessment review session to check if you are qualified for the route or for the visa opportunity that you're exploring. And if you are not qualified, we do have self-directed roadmap session, right, to qualify you over a period of time. So between 1 to 3 years, you can qualify for any tech visa. Just depend on how invested you are to get that across. We also have roadmap session for becoming globally attractive. So if you're already in the tech space and you're looking to play in the global market, right, we can design a roadmap for you that will make you globally attractive to that market. Of course, we review global talent visa application, and we also review endorsement review process. So if you have applied before now and the outcome was not favorable, we can review that endorsement process and point to you the direction to go moving forward. So these are, generally speaking, the service that we cover as emigrates, but these services are splitted into both free. Like I said, 85% of what we do is free, right? But we do have a premium service, and those premium services defined by you, right? So if you are pressed for time or if you have a unique working environment that does not allow you join sessions like these that are free, right? We can have personalized coaching session for you. We can have standard packages, right, where we can do introduction and reviews for you, right? Specifically custom service that suits your personality or that suits your experiences, right? So that is why the premium service is available for the emigrants. I also have a premium community called the Emigrate Circle. All right. Again, we do everything we do in the premium side of things. We do it also in the free side of things. So we do have Emigrate Tech Visa app that's open that you can use for free. We also do have free information and inspiration session. We have the Emigrate community that is free, right? We have monthly open days, which is free. All right. We have loads of videos on YouTube and on our app, which, they're virtually free. We do have Emigrate Open coaching where the spotlight is on you, all right, to ask any question you want to ask and also share your experience. That is free. We do have visa specific hours, right, that you can leverage on, right? So these are things that our service cover, right, for both free and premium customers or candidate, if you like. And We've divided these engagements into three pillars. Now, if you come into the ecosystem, you may want to navigate it yourself. So we have the do-it-yourself approach where you are in the communities and you can ask questions and you can become globally attractive by navigating the system yourself and leveraging on the informations we do have and which we are sharing for free. You can also ask us to do it with you, right? Which means you're partnering with a coach or partnering with a mentor to be able to get to a place where you are confident enough to put in an application, right, either to Global Talent or any of the visa opportunity that you are looking to explore, or you will have the do it for me, which is a system whereby we're working together, right, but we are making sure that you are ticking the right boxes as you go. Now, any of these pillars are available for everybody, right? You can decide to use any of them. Now, if you're interested in this free session, the premium session, or even any of the category I've mentioned in terms of the do it yourself or do it with me, and you want to sign up for any one of them, right, please go to emigrateVisa.com/tech visa, right? And that is the beginning. That's the starting point. We just want to get to meet you and get to know what you are looking out for, what opportunities have you spotted that you want to explore, and we'll be able to connect you with the right resources in terms of coaches, in terms of mentorship, in terms of programs that you will benefit from, right? Our packages generally are tech focused and so we have a couple of packages for time. I'll just mention a few. So we have moved to the UK as a global talent, right? And this is the UK global talent visa specific focus, and it's focused on the UK as the country of focus, United Kingdom. We have moved to the UK as an innovator founder. This is focused on startup founders, ideas, startup founders generally speaking, right? And the country of focus is the United Kingdom. You want to move your startup, you want to move your idea or expand into new market and you're considering the UK as one of those markets, you can leverage on the UK Innovator Founder visa. We do have moved to the US as a global talent visa, right? Focusing on the O1, US O1 visa, and move to Canada as a startup founder. So that is the Canada startup visa. Focus, of course, the country is Canada. If you're interested in any of our package, right, we do have the self-start UK route, right, and settle in the UK as a tech talent. If you're interested in any of these packages, please drop us a message on the chat or do reach out to us through our website or through our app, and we'll be excited to continue the conversation with you and put you in touch with the right coaches, the right mentors that you can leverage on, right? If you have any questions so far, please do use the chat and put your comments or questions in the chat. Remember, I spoke about the four pillars or the three pillars that we do navigate through when it comes to applying for any of the opportunities that you're exploring. So you can choose a package and start today. And we are very flexible on our journey. All right, these are the things that you get to enjoy. So for the free offerings, which is a do-it-yourself, you do have access to visa-specific education because we are always sharing knowledge in our communities. You do have access to our community. You do have access to a templates that you can use, or maybe a checklist, if you want to call it that you can use to track yourself as you are going through the journey. And that template is free. A lot of people are leveraging on that. We do have tools and resources that is specific and available to you. Now, this is available to all of the packages, whether we're doing it with you or you're doing it yourself or you're doing it with the Emigrate Circle, right? These are all available. Now, we also have short coaching session that's available across the different packages. We do have the basic AI assistant for information, for education, and for inspiration. That also is available. So no matter where you're starting from, we have resources that are free. We have a coaching session that are free that you can leverage on. Now, when it comes to personalized coaching, right, that is where we go to the do it with me or the do it for me package. We do have premium AI agent and also personalized AI guide that you can leverage on. Now, I will also have strategic coaching session. Now, these interestingly, you can get on the platform, right, if you are very active on the platform, but there are premium services that regularly attract a fee, a token, to be able to enjoy those packages, right? So if you are interested in any of our packages and you're wondering where do I start from, we're very flexible and you can start from anywhere, right? Possibly downloading the app is a good place to start. And I dare say you being on this call today is you actually starting the process. Now you can find our app on Apple Store, on Google Play Store, and on our website. All right. If you're wondering and you're thinking, how do I become globally attractive? Because the common denominator across any tech visa opportunity is that you have to be globally attractive. Just imagine someone like Elon Musk today saying he wants to relocate to any country of his choice. They will give him the visa before he even decide which one he wants to go to, right? Because he's globally attractive. Now, that's a very big name that we know, but there are a lot of startup founder, there are a lot of talents within Africa, within Europe that are globally attractive. They've contributed to building a product. They've contributed is to starting a product or taking a product to the market, and that product is doing very well, right? And it has become a product that everybody's leveraging. So they are globally attractive. Countries are looking for talent like that to come in into their ecosystem and make contribution, right? I like to say at this point that we are not immigration experts, right? We're not giving legal advice here, neither immigration advice, but we're just providing information, we're providing insights, we're providing inspiration, we're providing guidance and support to anybody that is on this journey. We have our coaches who have gone through this journey and they are sharing their experience to help you and to guide you through your own journey. So this is not by any means a legal advice or an immigration advice. However, if you need a legal advice, we can recommend a few who are partnering with us, but this is not legal session or an immigration expert session. All right. Okay. So today we're going to talk about settling in the UK as a global talent. We have our coach, and I'm going to hand over to her. I'm going to hand over to her now, right? So hi, Francisca. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Right. I know you're going to talk about settling in the UK as a global talent and everything about global talent. So we're glad to have you. Welcome on board. I'm going to stop sharing so that you can have the room and everyone's
Hello, can you
focus.
hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
So, thanks for inviting me again. So today we're just going to have some kind of quick reflection on the UK talent visa, the global talent visa, based on the current process because a lot of things have changed since the past month, let me say since April or thereabout. So things have really changed with the global talent route. But importantly, it's also an opportunity to think about what it means migrating to the UK on a global talent visa, settling in terms of what we call living in the UK, life in the UK, what it really means. Because sometimes I think people have different expectations about moving outside their home country. For some, it's for economic reason. For some, they just want uh, to get more opportunities to work and earn more. Others are just running away from friends and family. Whatever the reason why you're leaving, it's important that we put some things into perspective. So, as you already know, I got endorsed in January 2021 on the Global Talent Visa, and since then, I've been one of the alumni volunteers supporting different people who apply for the Global Talent route. And so, what we've seen in the last, let me say, between 2020 when I applied and also the last 3 years. It wasn't necessarily a popular route. I think it only became popular, let's say 2 years ago, when people who I'll attribute it to at least two or three different things. The UK previously didn't have a graduate, they suspended the graduate visa route, which they call the post-study work visa route, I believe, in 2012. Then they reintroduced it around, I think, 2021 or 2022. They reintroduced it 10 years later. So what that meant for people studying after your master's or undergraduate, you have 2 years post-study work, or if you're doing a research degree, you've got 3 years graduate visa route. So a lot of people who migrated didn't really have an idea that that didn't mean settlement. Some people just, UK is giving people 2 years visa. Well, what does that even mean? It doesn't count towards settlement or indefinite leave in the UK. Then at some point in 2022, I believe between 2021 and 2022, they opened the care visa route, health and care worker route, which kind of impacted net migration because we had a lot of people coming into the UK. And over time, people now realize that, okay, this route is not necessarily sustainable. Either people are getting their sponsorship licenses revoked, or people just weren't able to get job. And more recently, the government has put an end to that route. So what that means for the global talent visa route is that there's down pressure because it seems like it's pretty much the most sustainable route in terms of getting settlement in the UK. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to apply for global talent. I think just this evening uh, I was speaking to someone and the person said they applied for global talent. And thinking about it, we don't know the person to be in the sector per se, or know the person to have the criteria required for global talent. No, not disrespect to the person, but sometimes we know that global talent is not for everyone. Even when you work in tech, it doesn't mean you meet the requirement for global talent. So what you now have everyone applying, just try and error. It simply means that the bar has now been raised, both for tech and even the art and culture routes. Now, endorsement bodies have now put in stringent, tougher requirements to ensure that the best and brightest, the talents that the UK needs, are those who get endorsed. So you may have been working towards your global talent maybe in the last 2 years, 3 years. The reality is that it's not global talent visa is not just about you working towards it. The question you need to answer yourself is, are you a leader in the sense of things? There are people who maybe 2, 3 years ago they were not in tech, but in their own sector where they were working before, they were leaders in their own right. There were people who would speak at conferences. There were people who had a lot of media footprint on Google. Those kind of people, if they pivot their career and start to work towards achieving it, they are most likely going to be seen as credible as opposed to someone who is not even appearing on Google searches, no visibility, nothing on Google to show your track record within the last 5 years. So where does that leave us? What that means is that it's not to discourage anyone. If you're thinking of applying for global talent, the first question you need to answer is, are you truly a leader? It's for people who are recognized leaders or people with the potentials to become leaders in the field, as in this case, in the tech field. So if you're not someone that is considered a leader, you may be fortunate that you built your what's it call it, your evidence over time, and an assessor is lenient to pass you. But the challenge we've now had with some people who have been endorsed and is they now share their evidence with other prospective applicants. And you now tailor your evidence based on someone who, what we call let my people go in Nigeria. You know, when maybe someone could have failed or had a carryover, and the lecturer decides to say, oh, it's not so bad. He answered some questions, and they had a let my people go situation. In this case, it may just be that one of the criterion, the person wasn't really fantastic, right? But the assessor looks at the broader picture of the entire application and decides to endorse this applicant. What we now see, such applicants now go about in confidence telling people, oh, I submitted this, I submitted that, and that's what I got endorsed. You see some on YouTube, some of the things they even say. And don't forget that a lot of content people put out both on YouTube, TikTok, in the name of content, there are data being gathered around, and it now tells a different story about people from Nigeria, African countries when they apply. You even see it in some of the feedback. It just feels like, oh, they don't even trust the applicants, what they call it. And that's because we've seen cases where people just put on. I watched a video recently. It was a music artist, she applied for Global Talent. And the way she did someone asked her how she got it. She said, oh, I just took pictures of me singing. She kind of trivialized it. And I had to show someone who is a music artist who got endorsed. And the person said, it's unbelievable because this person she actually did more than that. This person is actually a known singer, but she kind of trivialized the process. Recently, in July, I believe, we had Telegraph and Daily Mail do different, what's it call it, publication targeting Nigerian global talent applicants, especially in art and culture, saying that they are skimming the system. Now, when I read through, you see that some of the examples of what they were saying was some people's YouTube content suggested like maybe they kind of not like they game the system per se, but if there's a criteria and people work towards achieving it, they've legally not done anything wrong, because except in the case of technician, where technician says that your evidence has to be within a certain period. But why am I saying that? I'm saying this such that if you're planning to apply for global talent, you cannot afford to just rely on the stories you see online. 1 second, let me try to put on the light because it's getting dark here. Okay, should be better.
Thank you. Better. I
Okay.
was just going to send you. I was just going to
Yeah,
inform you that it was getting dark. Thank you.
yeah. Um, so with that, a lot of people want to apply for global talent, and especially if you're on this call, you're thinking about applying for global talent. One advice I'll give you is you need to read the guideline in and out. Like, read all the lines to understand, especially for technician. Aside the criteria, the different examples, they also have notes within the guideline that specifies what you must do and what you mustn't do. For instance, they don't expect you to get a letter from your immediate line manager. A reference letter from your immediate manager is not acceptable, or your peers. They don't expect you to speak at an event and be paid for it, or it's an event that your company sponsored. So if all that is in your evidence, then it means that you were not invited to speak because you're respected or regarded as a leader in your field. It wasn't because of your expertise that you were invited to speak. So that's one thing I would say. But a lot of people do not listen. They just believe, oh, let me get an idea what the evidence looks like. You go and look at somebody. There's no rubber stamp, no two evidence are the same. And people's stories are different. My journey in tech and your journey in tech, it's not the same. So if you take someone's evidence and mirror your application, the other part of the person's story that you're not privy to. So with that, we have a lot of people who eventually they copy evidence, and now, just so you know, people are now being banned. If you receive a ban if they find out that you've doctored your evidence, maybe you've forged a letter. I think was it last month or thereabout, an applicant for still art and culture, music applicant, one of his letters was written by some organization because they need UK organization for as part of their recommendation. And the endorsement body contacted the individual and they said we never worked with this person. We don't know him. The guy thought, oh, okay, well, they've rejected my application. They said, and they told him, this person doesn't know you, so we've not endorsed your application. He thought he stopped there. That was earlier in the year. Couple of months later, he got a sponsorship for skilled worker route, applied for visa. And what happened? He was told that he has submitted a fraudulent evidence in a previous home office application. And he was given some days to explain himself. Anyway, he got banned for 10 years. So he has to leave the UK and is not allowed to enter the UK in 10 years. Now, why I'm saying this is because we have different people. Some people are at crossroad. The people on this call, perhaps your graduate visa is ending, or you're still in Nigeria or Ghana, or somewhere in India, as we have different people from different parts of the world. Do not be desperate such that you turn in a fraudulent application. It will be better that you submit an application and you get a feedback that your application is not strong enough, and then you go back and work your application. I know people who have applied 3 to 4 times before they eventually got endorsed. So and then so moving on from where the what they call it, the state of the nation in terms of UK immigration and visas. For those who are already, maybe you've just recently got endorsed or you're still almost there, it looks like you have a strong application. The thing to also think about is, do you want to move to the UK immediately you get endorsed when you do not have sufficient funds uh, because you spend so much money, because we do know that the process for global talent is not cheap. And that's one of the things that saddens me when the immigration rhetorics come up. No one talks about the cost of immigration to the UK. Immigration health surcharge, you have to pay £1,035 per year. And whilst that's, to be fair, it's not like it's an expensive amount to pay to access healthcare in the UK. But it's a chunk of money if you're paying for 5 years or even 3 years. So you're paying for 5 years visa, you're paying £5,175 plus your visa fees and endorsement. You're talking about £6,000, right? So once you've even paid all that, even though in your home country you are considered a high income earner, it leaves you, I mean, that's a lot of money that has left you. But what you now have to ask yourself, do I necessarily need to carry my bag and just move to the UK and struggle living from hand to mouth? The answer is no. You don't have to do that. You have to think of, you have 6 months. I mean, you once you get endorsed, you have 3 months to arrive the UK, or 3 months to apply. When you get endorsed, you have 3 months to apply for the visa. Within that 3 months, you can still be applying for jobs in the UK and anticipate you get a job before moving. And then even after you get your so that you can save up more money for your living cost, even after getting your visa, you still have another 3 months to arrive the UK, and you can extend for another 3 months. The bottom line is, if you don't arrive in the first 6 months, as long as you're spending 180 days within the first year, you are still within the allowable time for your continuous residency requirement. But what we've seen is that people just want to opt off without thinking about, can I afford rent? Can I afford to pay for utility? Some people are fortunate, they have friends and family they can stay with and just try to get a job, then move on. But it's usually not the case for a lot of people. So, and then moving to the UK, you now have to deal with understanding how the job market works. Yes, there are job opportunities, but now it don't now depend on your sector. There are sectors where securing a job is not so difficult from outside the UK. I know a number of people who are in maybe sales marketing, growth marketing, digital marketing, who got jobs while they were still in Nigeria. There are people who are developers who did their interviews before arriving in the UK and they secured a job. But it's not the same for some other roles where you have a lot of people with that skill. So for critical roles where you don't have a lot of people, there's skill shortage, you are more likely to get a job before you move. So that's something you really need to think about before you think of moving. So before I continue, it would be helpful if I just if there are questions along the way so that we don't just continue the conversations.
Yes. So guys,
Okay, I'm
again,
seeing your message.
yeah, again, guys, let's drop your messages on the chat so that we can um take that. We do have messages from the community. There's someone that asked a question. I think you've answered the question already.
Okay.
And the person was asking, is there a visa for average people like and I was like, I think
Laborers and all
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think you've answered the question. You have to know what you're doing and you have to be intentional about it. But this is not for that category of people. It is for
Yeah.
people in tech, right? So if you are in,
Yeah.
please do ask your question. I have one question. I think we would.
Let me even quickly answer that question just because the
Okay, go
person
ahead.
has taken the pain to join this call. Um, For laborers, I mean, emigrate obviously doesn't cover for this space, but if you check the UK, they have the immigration shortage list and the temporary occupation list. Perhaps your own, I mean, area as a laborer may be on there. So you need to check. I think there's a revised list. So I mean, we don't provide immigration advice, but for the UK, I think one thing I love about this country is that the gov.uk platform, once you just type what you're looking for, even if you type visa for laborer, it probably will take you to the shortage occupation list or some list where you may find your skill and then you start to apply for job based on that. Yes, Miri.
All right, fantastic. I see a hand up, Aziz. Please, do you want to use the chat room? Because we can't possibly give everybody the mic. So it's faster if you use the chat room. Okay. Thank you very much. So the first question that I was going to ask that came from the community is in terms of switching visa. Right. You've talked extensively about getting your documentation right. What is your advice in terms of switching visa? Where should I focus on? Is the question. Should I focus in on getting the skill or should I focus on getting the job experience? Is the question the person is asking.
So, how do you get the job? So, it's a funny question
You know why
because
it's
from the
funny.
job, yeah,
It's funny is because most people that are trying to switch visas have a short time frame to do it. 1 year, 6 months. So they are wondering, the question really is, do I focus on getting the skill set because I'm switching from one career path to a different career path, or do I focus
yeah.
on getting a job within tech?
So
Mm.
I'll be very honest with people on. I think we were even having this conversation earlier in our community. There are two routes, I mean, categories. You have exceptional talent and exceptional promise. For exceptional promise, it makes a lot of sense if you have at least 3 years experience. So if you think you're just moving from, you came on student visa and then you're just moving from there, 1 year, you are now spending 1 year to 2 years looking for a job. So where do you get the evidence to meet the actual criteria? I think it's not even about the job. Because when you're looking at your evidence, yes, you
Mm.
work in tech. It's probably one of the optional criteria three where you show proof of impact. That's where you often will show evidence related to your job. You may
Mm.
have some people have a sprinkle of that in the mandatory criteria, but really the bulk of the evidence is targeted towards your external contribution outside work. I mean, what you've done in the sector. Like, just think of it this way. What Tech Nation is interested in is people who, in their own industry, wherever they're coming from, they've made impact, they've advanced the sector either through their thought leadership, speaking at conferences, having opinion piece, contributing to policy, mentoring people. So if you're just thinking of starting now, where do you fit in this evidence? Which conference are you going to speak if you're still debating whether it's getting work experience or getting skill? It's not, if you see what I mean. So you have to really think of, is global talent for the UK global talent for you based on your current situation if you're just doing your master's? The answer is yes and no. Yes, if prior to coming to the UK, you had experience in the sector and you've contributed to, let's say you were a software developer and you've been a tech evangelist, speaking at conferences, leading communities. Not everybody is using Google Developer Group such that it's now watery. Everybody has done GDG. So if you're claiming, I think they've had enough of that. So if you're going to be claiming some of those community engagement, it has to be that if they check the internet, they've seen several either news about your contribution that will kind of corroborate your claim. But if it's just that you went to stand in front of one GDG event and sat on the chair to post that, okay, you've done something, that's no longer sufficient. They now need external evidence to corroborate your claims. So I hope that answers your question. The answer is if you're just looking to go and look for the experience now, sorry, it's not, you're probably not, it's not global talent you're looking for. Probably you're looking to build a career in tech and perhaps it actually may be relevant for you to work in a company back in Nigeria.
Let's.
And
I think there are more
that brings
questions.
me,
Yeah,
okay.
there's a question here that can unpack that thought further. Someone is saying, I'm working on my second application, got denied first time. I have some evidences that happened in early 2020, around March. Can that still be applicable if I apply by October 2025, or they have exceeded the 5 year? the 5 years mark. So I'm talking, this person is talking about, I think, trying to apply as a exceptional promise category as against applying for exceptional talent. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you trying to apply for exceptional promise category? Because that's where the 5 year mark will come in.
I think the answer with the way things are, if your evidence was in March 2020, it means it's now stale. So the assessors are now very, very like meticulous when they look at dates. You know, they even go as far back as checking source code to check whether your article that you claim, maybe you had an article in 2016, you now got it backdated to 2021. So the point is they're now very thorough. So it won't help your case. It's best to just use evidence that meet their criteria strictly.
And you can still use the 2020 evidence, but you're applying as a exceptional talent, not as exceptional promise. I think that will be the case because it
No,
means
but the thing is, it must have passed. If it has passed, it was an evidence in March 2020. So that's over 5 years.
yes, that will be over 5 years.
Yes. Yeah, if you're an exceptional talent candidate, so whether
Yeah.
it's talent or promise, any evidence you use that is more than 5 years from the date of the what they call it, it's still.
All right. Fantastic. So we have a lot of questions coming in, but I didn't want to hold your thought longer. Maybe you should continue, then we'll come back to these questions because
Can I apply and process my visa from Afghanistan country? Of course.
of course you can do that for me anyway. Do you want us to go
Okay.
through this question or do you want to continue? So just
Okay, let me continue so that it will while I scroll through the questions to kind of narrow some other areas that I may not cover because this session is more to just dissect different aspects.
yeah.
And now, in the light of some of the questions being asked around, oh, I'm working on my skill and my experience. I think this probably it may be very hard to say, but this is the some of the harsh reality that some of us need to really understand. If your visa is expiring, you're running out of your graduate visa, or especially those running out of their graduate visa. I think why you still explore global talent or skilled worker, the UK is not the only country that need your skill. People who even live in Nigeria, a lot of our friends that are founders and executives, they struggle recruiting people. And I think there's also a real opportunity for people to consider opportunities back in Africa, be it in Nigeria, be it in India, be it in Asia. It don't make it seem like if you don't leave the UK. And I'll say this, there's been a lot of desperation to the point where you see some people, someone's visa expires and some unscrupulous lawyers or agents will tell them, oh, put in a further leave to remain application to buy time. And the truth is, if you do that, you put in a further leave to remain, your visa has expired, but that gives you the right to remain in the UK. But if after that you do not get it, there's a likelihood that eventually when you leave the UK, it becomes difficult for you to come in. Yes, I mean, I did my master's there in 2011. And when I did my master's, there was no post-study, no graduate visa. You study and you go back home. So I went back home. I got a job in Scotland that took me to work in Nigeria. And I went and I worked in Nigeria for 8 years. I mean, life was really good. I know the economy has changed a lot, but there's still a lot of people who are able to get very meaningful employment. And then eventually, all those experiences I had within that, between 2013 and 2021, when I moved to the UK, was what I used in applying for my global talent. Nothing stops you from actually going back to Nigeria, spend a couple of years. If the global talent visa, there will always be routes, because unfortunately, a lot of countries in the West have skill shortage, because you have aging population, and that's why there is always a need for one immigration program or the other, whether it's the UK or Canada. At some point, based on political rhetorics or some other pressure in the system, they sometimes would close doors. But eventually, when there's that need, there's a pressure on the system to recruit, they have to do the needful. Think about it. 2012 or thereabout, they ended the post-study worker route. 10 years later, they brought it back. It's still on. If there becomes more pressure in terms of abuse, I think they would have even closed the routes if they didn't come up with this new system where students can bring their dependents. So with that, with student visa, the numbers of people coming are still a lot, but if it is not sustainable, they can shut the route down, and there will always be one program or the other. So where am I driving at? I would rather that if your visa expires, while you are thinking about what to do, to either getting a skilled worker visa or applying for a global talent visa, also throw yourself opportunities to apply for senior leadership role, executive roles back home. You've got a fantastic MBA or MSc degree. Back home, those things kind of give you some points when you've got a good degree from a good international degree. So if you do not kind of think through the strategy of, okay, what does this mean for me? I need to go back to Nigeria. What am I going back to? Am I going back to a job? Okay, if I'm not going back, I'm sorry for those who are not Nigerians. If I'm just, maybe because I'm Nigerian, I'm using the word Nigeria. But if you're going back to India, if you're going back to Kenya, or you're going back to Ghana, you need to ask yourself at the end of the day, what am I going back to? You know, do I have savings? Apart from the savings, have I explored other opportunities? So what happened when I studied in 2011? I went back to Nigeria. I got a job with one of the EPC engineering, EPC's engineering procurement and construction company. So back, and I worked for them for a number of years, and then moved on to another role while also starting up my own tech venture. So that gave me, I didn't have an idea when I was doing what I was doing. I was just that busybody who loves to go and speak at conferences, love to organize. I had no bearing, no inkling that this was going to matter, you know. Now, think about it. Do what you have to do, not because you want to get global talent. Do what you have to do because you're a leader and you want to make a difference in whatever sector you currently work. And eventually, these things will amount to something. Tomorrow, it may be that there's a visa for people who, it's not even a tech visa, for people who are sales manager from any industry, or people who are, because sometimes people just ask questions that, what about people in safety? Maybe soon there'll be a visa for people who are talented safety and security. You never know. Um, so those are the things that we need to really be honest with ourselves, so that you don't get to a situation where you become illegal in the country after you've built a track record. I tell this story. There was a lady who she's had a track record of from a buoyant family traveling across the world. And then when the visa expired, post-study, she moved on to another master's. From master's, and then some lawyers told them they could apply for further leave to remain. asylum, some funny, but the long story short, it wasn't successful. And when she eventually went back to Nigeria, every time she applied for a visit visa to the UK, it was turned down. And so on one of those days, the lady said to me, I noticed since you came back to the UK, you've traveled to the UK at least twice a year. I say, yes, I go on holiday, visit. I mean, it's like a second home. I have friends and family. But she said they keep rejecting my visa. This is my fourth. So I looked at the last rejection and I said, when your visa expired, did you try to extend your visa with any of this funny schemes? She said, oh, yes, I applied for asylum. I said, on what basis? Are we, is it, I mean, on what basis? She said, well, there was something about insecurity in some area that she had lived in, but it was just funny. But the information, people have information about Nigeria out there. Fine, we've got insecurity in some quarters, but they just feel that a lot of people still live in Nigeria, so they have no basis to grant the person asylum. So if you're in that bracket of people being deceived to go and get an asylum, I think you should abort that mission. Because even just last month, there is a lot of data showing that a lot of applicants are applying for asylum. So these are some of the things that um, we just need to be honest with ourselves about so you don't ruin your chances of eventually getting global talent. So we'll try to pick some questions so that we can go from there. Okay, so let me see.
I was also I think I would go back to the questions and just pick one of them. But I wanted to remind you of, let's start with the question. So
Okay.
question, open source contribution can open source contribution be used for all the criterias, different solid contributions spread across criteria, MC1, OC2 and OC3 evidence, download metrics of the project, repo stars being acknowledged by the project maintainers and organization, invitation by the project organization to speak on podcasts and community meetings about the contribution, becoming a board member and maintenance of the open and or maintainer of the open source project. So this person has open source projects that he has
So,
contributed to, and he's asking, can I use open source projects to fill all of these criteria, MC1, OC2, OC3?
so I mean, I would say if you can use it for mandatory and OC2, that would be that's okay. But don't forget that it's not about having a lot of open source contribution. The question is you're trying to, for each of the criteria, you're trying to demonstrate something. For the open source project in the mandatory criterion, you're trying to demonstrate that you're a recognized leader. Does the particular open source project you want to showcase, is this sufficient enough to prove that? Maybe, maybe not. You know what the download start. Is it in tens of thousands? Is it such that it's not just that how many people have acknowledged it, what are the repo stars, the achievements that you have in the optional criteria too? How does that show you have advanced the sector? So now I think assessors are more focused on, apart from the evidence itself, how do you demonstrate that it meets this particular criteria you selected, right? Now, for impact, it's not like you can't use that across, but the diversity in your evidence and diversity even in your kind of recommendation letter says a lot. If it's just open source that you have, it becomes boring. Do you understand? I would rather that you have a mix of maybe, so in some cases, I've that have provided guidance for successful application. We've used open source in mandatory, one open source there and one in optional criteria too. Then the third evidence focused more on the impact the person made in the organization they've worked. Either they've built a product that has had massive sales revenue and it could be attributed to them, and they're able to show either what they call it the architecture and also GitHub commit showing that they've contributed to developing a product that has become commercially successful. Lately, they are also now focused on the traction that your evidence, not just enough, what's the traction that that product has made. So if especially for exceptional talent, I think this morning we in our community where they shared a feedback of someone. They just said that we see this person is ambitious, yeah, but we don't think the product has even gained enough traction. I hope this helps.
Yeah, it does. And I think there's a similar question. I think you touched on it, but I'll just ask it. So for each of the criteria, can a single evidence be enough? For example, just one instance as a judge of other people's work. Can that be a standalone evidence for one criteria?
So if I'm not sure I get the question, but for you should have at least two evidence in each of the criteria.
Yeah.
So you can't submit just only one. As a matter, so the minimum evidence you should have is six. But as a practice, people submit up to 10. The reason for submitting a diverse pool of evidence is such that if you submit the minimum, as you already know, if it's just one evidence that is weak, it means the application will not be endorsed. But if one evidence is weak and you have another evidence, the assessor will say, okay, well, I don't like evidence two. I think I like evidence three. So the applicant has met the two evidence requirement for the criteria that they've applied for. So
Yeah.
you have evidence typically for very strong applications, for applicants who really have enough evidence. You have 4-3-3, four piece of evidence in the mandatory, three in optional criteria, two and optional criteria three, which are often the popular evidence that people select, especially people who have a lot of external evidence of their work. So if out of the four, they don't like two, you have two to fall back on. If it's just one, you still in good standing, right? If for optional criteria two, you provided three. If one of the three is not too good, do you have a third one that you could fall back on? So I think that's just how to approach it. But if you think you're just going to submit one evidence, that means you've not read the guide.
Yeah. You're leaving it too thin. So the next question is, how does one in education tech, get started with this visa? This person has been training, mentoring, and teaching. Does this person stand a chance? So he has been a
Well,
trainer, he has been a mentor, and he's been a teacher within EdTech. So he's wondering
for
how.
edtech, so the truth of the matter is that these days, I mean, edtech is a space where even the products, if you're not careful, if you are just someone who is using um, creating a platform just to train, you could be seen as a tech-enabled business, not a product-led. The question is what is the product? What is the digital product you're offering? Do you understand? So being a trainer and all that, it could work for you contributing to the sector. So is it you being a trainer that you're calling edtech? What is the platform? Is it a product-led company then you being a trainer is just something you're doing to advance the sector. So that will determine it. So to answer your question, I need to know what kind of product you have. So if you're an edtech, let's say you work for Coursera or Udemy, so that's an edtech platform that provides digital courses, right? But on the side, you also have different communities where you train people. But even with the training, sometimes training and mentorship are sometimes used interchangeably. And when you even talk about training, because they are now saying that mentorship should be structured, I would also recommend that you don't just go about training anybody without it having structure. Do you understand? So they need to be, it has to be whatever you're doing, whether you're training, the platform needs to have some kind of structure that if they go online, what can they find about it? For anyone applying for global talent at this point, one thing I will emphasize is there is now need for you to be visible. The visibility around your work is very important. If I Google your name, what can I find? If I Google your name and I can't find anything, it probably gives the impression that you're not who you say you are, right? For in terms of the global talent for tech. We've also seen that people who, if especially if you spend some time in the UK, you see that LinkedIn is like Facebook, especially in the UK. Everybody is excited, or everybody is every week having strategy to post because they want to increase their followership on LinkedIn. Now, what that is, we all have a different take around some of those content. But I tell you, somehow it has shown that people who are very visible on LinkedIn, always sharing, have a lot of followership, even though your LinkedIn is not a direct evidence, but it tells a story about you. So if you're someone whose LinkedIn is active back to back, an assessor types your name, checks your LinkedIn, sees that between now, there's a way you go to LinkedIn activity. It shows when you last posted. It will show that this person is just always engaging. It is not a direct evidence, but it sort of gives an impression that you are someone who engages the community. Do you understand? So, but if you're just someone who is on LinkedIn, you just have 200 people on LinkedIn and just evidence here and there, they can't find anything online. Yeah, miraculously, you can get endorsed if he's an assessor that is not overzealous or a kind assessor who just goes by. But lately, the kind of feedback we see from assessor looks like really we just don't. I mean, this is not a visa for everybody, and that's just something they are saying loudly.
Okay. We'll jump on this last question before we go back to some of the thoughts I wanted you to share on. This person say, I have a 6 years experience in drone technology. I have proven volunteer leadership experience and civic engagement. How can I begin the process? What is expected from me?
So it all depends if you're talking about drone technology under hardware. So if you decide to look at it, if it's hardware technology, there's hardware under the technical skills, and maybe you could use that under it. And the other niche area, if you're saying is your drone technology such that you're just flying drones, what is the niche? Do you understand? Because there are even areas on that are not directly listed on TechNation website that what they call it, that still get endorsed. You won't find lawyer, you won't find legal practitioner on the guidance, but there are people who are legal practitioners, who are risk managers, that have gotten endorsed because they meet the criteria, they work for product-led companies, and they made significant impact in that area.
All right.
Okay, I
I
hope
wanted
that
us,
helps. Yeah.
yeah, I think that was spot on. I wanted us to go back to talk about settling in the UK, becoming a permanent residence in the UK, and also integrating into the UK economy, like finding a job in the UK, if you are a founder, fundraising or raising money in the UK and things like that. Can you talk around some of those topics as we have them in the room? People that are interested in those side of the conversation are also in the room.
Okay. So more on people who already endorsed, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So if you're already endorsed, there are different things that people face in terms of endorsement. And one thing is for you to get endorsed, but the other thing is for you to ask yourself if um for you to get out of the bubble of being a global talent. So what we find, it's not too many people, but there are a handful of people who, okay, yeah, you got global talent, so and so what? You now go for interviews and interviews and interviews, and you just realize that probably the skills you think you have may not necessarily fit into the sector here. Okay, let me give some instances, and so you understand uh, how things work. So I give an instance. So let's say you're a data analyst, and back home in Nigeria, you are used to creating dashboards, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, and you've done amazing work. You've been speaking across the world. Then you now come into the technical system in the UK. Then what are the challenges? What we've seen is that we have people who, until they went to do a master's in data analysis, in data, yeah, for some companies, some universities call it big data. I know someone who he thought he was very good in data analysis until he started applying for a job. But he said to me, one of the good things that I think I did for myself was getting my MSc, which was kind of strange because for some people, the MSc can be very high level. You just do it yourself. Not too many people are really able to get much in terms of the experience to code in Python. So you realize that for you to become a data analyst here, if you can't code in Python, you don't know SQL, R, and some of these other technical um, part of data analysis, just manipulating tools to create a dashboard is not enough. So you now realize that even if you are calling yourself a data analyst, you are probably a business intelligence analyst, not a core data analyst. So people like that struggle. Or you come in and you say, okay, well, you're a product designer and there's a lot more. It may not be product design, that's the word. Some people call it interaction designer. Some people are more focused on you. So you have to be able to do some research to see how you can align your CV to the terminologies being used in the sector here that may not be the same. So let's take, for instance, back home in Nigeria, the product manager, you are the business analyst, you are the product owner, you are the product manager. In short, there are some roles that they still even expect you to do both back end and front end engineering. What we call Bobo Niche means you should be able to do everything. But you come in here, you realize that people are quite specialized. A business analyst is doing something different before you, a developer, will not just wake up and start coding or building things. So with that, people struggle. Then the other thing in settling, which is very common that we find out a lot in our community, is the work culture, the difference in work culture. People struggle with that. So you come in, global talent, you finally land a job, but how are you able to sustain engagement? How do you communicate with your colleagues such that people, like a lot of times where we come from, we can be very direct. In this part of the world, people try to be very polite even when they're trying to communicate something. So you're not even sure what someone is communicating to you because the person is being polite to give you either a feedback or give you an instruction. Whereas you're used to either your manager or you're used to someone telling you, this is what you need to do, this is what you have not done well, and you're able to work on that. Then also the language, how you communicate via email, communication in meetings. Sometimes some people feel like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm forward. So you're not talking in meetings. And with that, we've had a lot of people go through challenges at work, and some people can't even pass probation. So it's not enough. This just getting a global talent visa is not enough. But what are you really doing in terms of long term to really show that you are the leader you claim to be? The other thing to think about is, okay, now aside going to work, I think one thing that Tech Nation endorsement did for a lot of people, I know people who before they got endorsed, going to speak at a conference is maybe their employers mandated them to do that. And so they were lucky enough to have that as an evidence. But I know many people who it is now part of them to engage in community. We had a Connect and Ignite event last in July, and we had about 400 people in attendance. When you go to London, you find people going to London Tech Week, going to some people previously were not doing that. So if after you get global talent, you just feel like, I've gotten global talent, Tech Nation is not checking me or nobody is monitoring what I'm doing. But it doesn't matter. It may become something important in your career eventually. Some people get new opportunities from just networking, attending conferences, attending drinks, go out, drink. Some people say, no, it's not my, I'm religious, I'm a pastor. I mean, you can go for drinks and decide not to take alcohol, but it's a networking event with colleagues. Meet up with people, chat, find out what's happening in the industry, engage with what's happening even across the country. That sort of relationship building is very critical, very important in this space. Now, as people, for some people, you get, as you already know, some people get their indefinite leave after 3 years, some after 5 years. And there's a requirement for you to get your indefinite leave. You need to show you've earned money in the tech field. And we know that not everyone gets a job in tech immediately, but you need to survive, right? The visa is um, kind of flexible enough such that you can work elsewhere. But bear in mind that you need to work towards ensuring that you meet the requirement of the visa. You have enough time between now and when you apply for settlement to actually secure a job or a role or launch your company where you can earn in the field. We have people leaving things last minute such that, oh, my visa is on, maybe they didn't get the 5 years visa. They just got 1 or 2 years visa because they couldn't afford a long term period. Or what am I going to do? So unfortunately, there have been cases where people couldn't meet the requirement for what's it called? Um, earning in the field. And with that, they have to leave the country and start the endorsement process all over again. We don't have too many cases like that, but I'm aware that there have been cases like that where people do not meet their requirement. So what do you do if you currently you're on global talent, you are also a leader, you can continue to build. There are different people who they came in as founders, early stage startup, there are opportunities for you to get into different accelerator programs to guide you on how to build your products and launch your company. There's Antler, there's Techstars, there are different regional hubs that have different programs to different accelerator programs to support startups. So those are opportunities that, as you're also looking for a job, you should exploit those opportunities to be able to build something, solve a problem. There are problems everywhere, but in the UK, it doesn't have to be a problem back in your home country. And from there, you can start to build a product and generate revenue that is contributing to the digital economy. And that's something that is very important for this visa route. I would take some quick questions before we continue on living in the UK. Moody, let me see. I missed your response to the question about the quantity of evidence to be included for each. I think I already responded to that. Minimum of 2 evidence. Submitting email screenshots from invitation to participate in interviewing candidate for a structured learning program. Can evidence suffice under recognition? No, if it's just an invitation and you've not undertaken that volunteer opportunity, it's not sufficient.
I was going to ask, are you done with your thoughts so that we can come back to the question? Because the
Yeah,
question
yeah,
can
yeah.
be your
I
thoughts.
am, but if there's an area you think I should touch on, I'm just trying to cover both
Yeah,
from securing roles to
uh,
um, preparing for indefinite leave, what people need to do and consider.
all right, fantastic. There's a question here that I think we should address. It's what's the benchmark endorser look out for in an exceptional promise evidence? All right, is it just the years? I am asking because I have put together my evidences, but it still seems like it's not good enough.
So the thing is, there are examples of evidence that you have been given. The truth is, for the benchmark for exceptional talent and promise, they're quite similar. The only difference is that if you are exceptional talent, because you've been in the industry more than 5 years, they expect your evidence to be more solid and you should have more track record of recognition. So if you say you're exceptional talent and you just had one conference in 2024 and most of your evidence look like they were created in the last 2 or 3 years, it often doesn't tell a story of track record of recognition. Now, for exceptional promise, it also helps if in the last 3 years you've had track record of recognition and contribution, such that it helps if most of your evidence can be verified online. So even now, we see that a lot of assessors now, if you say you've spoken at a particular conference, they've not heard about it, they now go online to see, okay, what can we find about this event? Is it just some one-off event? What information can we get about this event? Is it a well-attended event and other sorts? So even if you have a conference, it doesn't mean that that will meet the criteria. So, like I said previously, if you're listening, how you know whether your evidence is looking sufficient is, does it describe you like a promising leader? Will you look at your evidence if you were not the person applying and say, put yourself in an assessor's shoe, just assume you're an assessor. Would this kind of appeal to you or strike you as someone who is a respected leader or promising leader in their field? Someone asked something about, is it just one assessor that looks at your application or it's usually a panel? I'm not sure the relevance of this question, really. We don't know. From the way some of the feedback are shared, it would seem in some cases that it's an individual that looked at it. But from what we do know, again, is that they also pass through different vetting before it's even looked at, based on, just to be sure, there are some applications that sometimes draw attention that it may be looked at by different people. So yeah, but like I said, I don't think that that's really relevant.
That 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 is not relevant for the conversation. Just know that there's an assessor or there are assessors that take a look at the evidences. All right. Do you want to spend some time talking about raising funds for startup founders in the UK?
Yeah, so yeah, I mentioned a bit about it. So people raise funds through different means. There are people who go to angel networks. It's you look up different angel network, and then some other people still through this networking, they are able to pitch their startup to people, and you may sometimes get recommendation to investors. And then some other people go through different accelerator programs, like I mentioned, the Antler program, mentioned, we still have Techstars, and there are different accelerator programs that people go through, and it also gives them that exposure to funding. The other thing people sometimes use is, uh, even though a lot of people will say, yeah, attracting significant funding in the UK is not as big as people going to the US and attracting a lot of funding in, through Y Combinator. But what we do know is that people also do crowdfunding, or what they call, the kind of crowdsource funding from a couple of syndicate funds that people go through. And with syndicate funding, it will be still this networking of a number of investors, people who invest in early stage startup, just come in with different pool of funds to support a venture. Often you would have shown some level of, maybe you are bootstrapped enough to show that, okay, well, your product is viable. That's what we know generally that people do. And then we still have people, obviously, the Google for Black founders, that people get, Google for Startup. They get involved in that, and some people join some of these AWS program, even though they don't necessarily invest directly, but they provide different resources to startups. So those are opportunities that I think that, we if you're looking at building. Then there's also, I forgot to mention, obviously, there's Tech Nation, have different programs also for startup. I think is it the Rising Star, and I'm trying to remember the other names. I know they've done some kind of reorg on that, but Tech Nation also have some program under the founders group. And also there is it Bethany Green? They fund a lot of tech for good startups. So if you're maybe in civic tech or you're in climate tech, all those kind of tech for good initiatives.
All right, fantastic. So this is our all conversation starters. We expect that you take this information and go do your research. All right. One of the fantastic platform you can go to, and Francesca has talked about it today already, is gov.uk. Right. There's
Mhm.
a lot of information you can research there. And also I've dropped the link to our community. Time will not allow us go through every every question. We answer a few now.
Yeah.
But you join the community and let's continue the conversation within the community. You can join with any platform of your choice. The links are all there. All right. There's a question that is interesting. This person said, I have 15 years experience mostly in education sector at AKF
Yeah.
AGA Khan Foundation in Afghanistan. And I was responsible for different sectors like HRO, finance, M&E, and admin, facility management, and safeguarding focal point. Hence how to submit all my evidence and details or to your. I don't get the last part
I
of
think
your.
I saw the question, but the thing is, it's the Aga Khan Foundation is not a product-led company in the first instance, So if you are work in a non-technical organization, you may not be eligible based on what you've listed, the role and the organization type. So you may not be eligible. Maybe you want to try other routes, visa routes, but you may not be eligible. It's for people working mostly product-led digital technology company.
All right. Fantastic. So, Francisca, do you have any other area we've not talked about? I know you spent a lot of time extensively, but time is running, right? Do you have any other thoughts we've not talked about today that you want to share before we
I
go back to?
can't think of if you point me to any area that you think I missed out on, then we can
All right,
take.
no problem. I would come back to you shortly. All right, let me just do some housekeeping and inform people where they can find a resource and information. All right. And those that are still on the call, I would share with you the gifts that we do have as a community to support you. Francisca has shared a lot, and you can, have an idea now where to start. She's going to come back and continue. She's going to come back. She's also a coach within the community. So if you join the community, you can ask questions. And if you're lucky enough, you can get a one-on-one session with her. All right. So she's not leaving us. She's just going to catch her breath. She's been speaking for at least an hour now. So we need to allow her catch her breath. Right. Okay. Um, so again, you can join the Emigrate community using the link we have there. Just click on any of the link and you will be in the Emigrate community. Feel free to ask questions, engage, share your own experience, share your own thoughts. If you have applied before and it hasn't come positive or it has come out positive, share your thoughts. People would get inspiration from your journey and people can learn a thing or two from your journey. So we ask that you observe or the house and be friendly and also like and share our comment across all social media. Now there are loads of information on our app. You can download the app today and you will get all the information you need. We do have a 7 day streak going on within the app. So if you use the app for 7 days straight, which is 1 week, you stand a chance of winning a free coaching session. All right. So if you use the app for one straight week, you stand a chance of winning a free coaching session. If you're just joining and you're wondering where can I get this app, it's on Google Play Store, it's on Apple Play Store, and also you can find the link to download the app through our website, emigrantevisa.com. All right, we have a referral program going on. So if you have friends, colleague, family members who are looking to explore any of the tech visa routes, you can refer them to a Migrate platform, and you stand to win various prizes starting from £35. But there are a lot more prizes. Of course, terms and conditions do apply, right? But refer your friends and family and even your colleagues who are interested or your neighbors who are interested in tech-enabled visa opportunities, and you stand a chance of winning. Now, the question you might be asking, and somebody asking the question was talking about timing and things like that. You might also be asking why emigrate. There are a few things I would just talk about. We leverage on AI a lot in the immigrant community, right, for precision, or we go beyond just traditional method, and we use AI to drive data-driven solution to be able to give you precise information that you need. We also do personalization at scale, right? So you're not just another applicant on the platform. We're going to personalize your experience, right? And also, one of the things that we do with our AI is that we get instant insights into applications, into actionable recommendation when you need them, right? So it's a seamless experience, the Emigrate AI, and I invite you guys to leverage on it today, right? If you go to ai.emigrate, emigrate.ai rather, emigrate.ai, you would find our AI solution. You do use it and come to the community to share your experience. Now, this is where I wanted to get to, because Francisca has talked about a lot, and which is fantastic. And you might be wondering where do I start from, And we at Emigrate, we have a proper roadmap for you that you can leverage on, and you can do it yourself, and you can do it with us, right? We start from preparation, and these session is more like a preparatory session because you've gotten a lot of education from this session. You've gotten a lot of information from this section that you can put back into your preparation process, right? Then we can have a roadmap session for you, right? And this roadmap session can include things like training, can include things like pre-incubator program if you are a startup founder, right? And also we do have qualifying programs like bootcamp, like incubators, and things like that, the talent development programs within the Emigrate ecosystem. We are not doing this alone. We have partners that we are leveraging to make sure you get this resource that you need. Now, when it comes to navigating the application process, right, we do have mentors, we do have coaches that, again, can work with you to make sure you are putting your best foot forward. And if you are looking at specific visa route that are more into, for example, the Canada Startup Visa, we do have partnership with accelerators that we take you in, and you can leverage on the accelerator to apply for those kind of visas. So if you're a startup founder and you're looking at moving your business, your ideas, your startup to a new market, you want to, again, explore accelerator program within that market, we can do introduction, and we can do introduction to those and help you get into some of those accelerators, which might be a faster way for you to navigate the application process. But if you're an individual, of course, we do have coaches. Of course, we do have mentors that can work with you. Now, when you have gotten the endorsement, right, again, we have communities. The technician himself has a technician Slack group, right, which is like a community. We have the technician community for various nations, right, that you can be a part of. We also have technician community for various fields, right, more like a support community, Slack community, and you can, benefit from that. Now, if you need a lawyer or you need immigration consultant, we are not immigration consultant. We can do introduction to lawyers. We can do introductions to immigration consultant. If you need financing, we can do introduction to that. Right? We are not a bank. We're not a legal firm. Neither are we an immigration firm. But we can do introduction if you need any of those services. Now, if you're already in the UK and you're settling into the UK, and you're looking for a job, or you've gotten an endorsement, you're staying in your home community and you're trying to get into the job space within the UK, because we're talking about settling the UK as a global talent today. We do have HRO recruiters that we have partnership with, and we can do introduction, right? And also help you prepare for those conversations, those interviews, and putting your CVs together to make sure you are putting your best foot forward when you are submitting your CV for those jobs, and also prepare you for interview process. The interview process in the UK is slightly different from the interview process in many nations. So you want to know, you want to be in the room with the recruiter and understand what is expected, right? They are heavy on impact, they are heavy on achievements, and not just roles and responsibility. In Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana, Kenya, most of the time we list the roles and responsibilities we have done in the past. But in the UK, they want to see what was your achievement and what are the impact you've created in those roles. And you have to be able to highlight them in your CV. Now, so those are things that we can share with you and many more insights within the emigrate community. So we're bringing this to you, right? And please go to emigratevisa.com/tech visa to sign up, or go through our app and sign up, download the app today and sign up, or join any of the community app. The links are on the chat. Join any of our community, and we can continue the conversation and have a more tailored session with a coach, with a mentor that can answer your question. I know some of us might be shy, right, to ask questions in a general session like this. We do have coaching session. We do have one-on-one sessions that you can leverage on. And we have partnerships, right? One of our partnerships is the Bincom Dev Center partnership, where it's a technology hub that offers you an opportunity to build your tech talent, offers you an opportunity to build your startup and help you enhance your tech talent by giving you opportunities, right? One of such opportunity that Bincom offer is what we call the Labs by Bincom. This is a 3 to 6 months program where you get to build a startup. So if you're in tech and you've been in consulting or you've been in services, we had an ed tech person in the chat today. You have not built a product, a digital-led product. You've not built a product before. You've not taken a product to the market. This is an opportunity for you to join other cohorts to actually build a product. You can add it to a list of your portfolio if you already have a product, right? Whether you are trying to relocate or not, it's a fantastic way to become globally attractive. The more products you have contributed to, the more products you build, the better your chance of getting your next big break. Francisca talked about applying for executive roles. Some of those executive role comes with what is your portfolio? What have you built in the past? Now, Last by Income gives you that opportunity, right, to leverage all your skill sets and to also partner with other skill sets to actually build a product, right? If you go to bincom.net/labs, you will be connected to the community and you can sign up. And the next cohort, I think, starts in September. Is a good time for you to sign up to be in that cohort, right? Now, if you are on the call, we talked about UK extensively today, but this is a snapshot of some of the visa routes that we talked about. It's not an extensive a list. So you can take a screenshot and you can do your own research. Many of the things that was spoken about today, you need to go back and research on them. You need to go back and read on them, right? You have to be, very hungry for this knowledge. You have to go out and chase this knowledge. And you find all this information on the net, right? Don't spend a lot of time on Instagram. Go to the website of these nations and read about their offer. So in the UK, we have the Innovator Founder Visa for startup. If you have a startup in Nigeria that is doing well, in Ghana or in Kenya or anywhere in Europe or in India, or even in Afghanistan, you can apply for the UK Innovator Founder Visa, right? For the talent visa, is the Global Talent Visa for the UK. Now, we do have extensive sessions where we can break this down one-on-one or a group coaching session. If you're in the community, we do communicate that every now and again. And every other month, we speak to each of these visa opportunity. So for example, we have spoken about the Canada visa. If you go on our app, you find a lot of information around there. We've spoken about the EB1 and EB2 visa. If you go on our app, you find a lot of information and resource, and you can binge on that, right? And know more about the EB1 and EB2 visa, the H1 visa, and the O1 visa for the US, if you're particular about the US. So this is a fantastic snapshot. Please take a screenshot. If you have any question, come to the community and ask. But by all means, please do your research, right? And yeah, again, the common denominator for all the visa route that we've talked about today is that you are globally attractive. That is the common denominator. And the beauty of the visa we speak to is that it gives you pathway to settlement. It allows you move with your family. You know, it's very beginner friendly. So I took you through a list where you can start from a beginner, you know, get your knowledge, get your education. It's very beginner friendly. So you can start as a beginner. If you're switching career, you can actually start from as a beginner or start as an intermediary and grow from there till you qualify. So give yourself a 3 to 4 year, if you're a beginner, 3 to 4 year or 5 years journey, and you'll be able to apply for most of the tech visas that are available out there. Right. We are focused on tech, you know, so if you're not in tech, somebody asked about is there a visa opportunity for laborers? What I would say to you is that you can switch to tech. It's not too late, right? And we have a package for you if you want to switch to tech, where you will go through a different tech platform to learn a tech skill and build on that, get internship opportunity, get apprenticeship opportunity, grow from that. All we would ask is that you have the investment of time to invest in that journey, right? So these are opportunities, and you can find many more opportunities within the internet, and you can search. We just wanted to put some of this in front of you to show you what is possible, right? We do have premium group coaching sessions, right? That is available. If you go to emigrateai.event, you can sign up for our group coaching session. There we are more detailed. It's a smaller room, right? And we can speak one-on-one and understand where you are, right? We do have it, it's online. So we have physical editions, we have online, but they are predominantly online. So you can join just a small room with like-minded individual, and we can even organize a group coaching session for you and your friends if you want to have that. All right. If you think you don't yet qualify, you know, I like to think everybody qualify in time. So if you think you don't yet qualify, one of the things you need to do is to get in the room or draw for yourself a personalized roadmap. Right. I want to get to becoming globally attractive. I want to be able to migrate to Canada. I want to be able to migrate to the UK, but I am here today. How do I get there? Now, we do have a coach, or we do have packages in-house, but we can also have a roadmap session with you if that's all you need at this point. So as a beginner, as a newbie, we can map for you on a roadmap things that you need to do, or better say, boxes that you need to check, right? And as you check those boxes, you move from a newbie to a beginner to an intermediate till you become an expert, right? We ask that you be patient with the process. You know, if once you are patient with the process, we can move you gradually till you can't rush these things, right? You can't rush it. You know, you have to take your time to build the profile that would stand you out, right? Technician, for example, are looking for people with exceptional talent. They are looking for the best of the best to come into the UK and contribute, right? So some of the DIY package that we do have, you know, for everybody on the call, this is part of the gift that we have, is that we have the UK Global Talent Visa DIY templates. So if you are planning to apply for Global Talent, we have the template for you free. It's on our app. Just search for it. You find it. It's on the app and it's for free. We have the Technician Visa Forum Discourse channel. It's also a free discourse channel, right? You can go there, ask your question as you are navigating through your application. We have the WhatsApp group, the Technician Nigeria Application Support Group. Again, a free community that you can be part of, right? We have the Technician Visa Office Hour, Emigrate Technician Visa Office Hour. It's both free and premium, depend on the length of time that you are applying for, that you are requesting for, right? We have the AI, the Emigrate AI for global talent visa, that is premium for now. But of course, the open day and the replay videos that like today is free and is available. And it's a lot of lessons, a lot of information that have been shared, a lot of education that have been shared today. You can always leverage on that. But if you're still on the call to this point, you have won yourself a free 10-minute coaching session, right? And all you need to do to redeem that coaching session, it's go on any of our community and say you are part of the August 20th open day, and the administrator is going to add you to a calendar to speak to a coach in the inside the next week, right? So congratulations, you have won yourself a free coaching session. What we need you to do with that coaching session is to go research, have a vision. This is what I want to do. I want to, move to the UK, for example, through Global Talent. Go to the Global Talent website, right? Read about it. Go to gov.uk, click on Global Talent, click on digital category, read about the requirement, understand what mandatory criteria is, understand what optional criteria is. If you now have a question, then we will come into that session and use that coaching session to get those questions answered. It would not be useful to you if you come to the session and say, what is global talent? That is online. You can just Google it, so use that coaching session wisely, right? I would come back to our coach, Francisca, because I want to let her go, but I want to ask her, what's your advice? You've spoken extensively today, and we're very grateful, right, to the different category of people in the room. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to give an advice to those in the UK that are switching visas to global talent, those in Nigeria that are newbies that are trying to explore the global talent visa, for example, and C-level executive who are on the call or who watch the replay video to say, is this a fantastic opportunity, right, for me, because I've built a reputation in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Kenya. Should I leave all that and come to the UK? Do you have any word of advice for this category of people?
Yeah, I think that different at the start of the session I talked about people have different reasons why they are moving. Are you moving because you want to get global exposure? So one interesting thing we always say, the UK is quite central. So you're not far from America, you're not far from home. So even if you have a business in Nigeria or you want to scale to the UK, you can easily still run from the UK multiple businesses. As we already know, a lot of we can see in the fintech space, we have a lot of companies like MoneyPoint, Lemfi, good number of them that are people who have benefited from the global talent route and they are still able to run their business from different parts of the world. So that tells you that even if you're an executive in Nigeria, especially maybe you're working in the fintech space, you're working in identity verification space, or you are a cybersecurity expert, you want to ask yourself, do I want to export my talent elsewhere while I still maintain the relevance I have in ecosystem back home? That's a question that is always easier for the individual to answer. Why? But for most people, you always hear them say, oh, we're doing it for the kids. We're doing it for because of our children. And I think that's a separate conversation, especially when people say they're doing moving because of the kids, especially for people who have teenage children. Sometimes it may not even be the best if you have kids and you're moving them to the UK. The question is, can you afford university education? We've got, I think I wrote an article 2 years ago about the implication of moving children to the UK if you do not have the means to provide international education for them. For instance, international student fees for a 4-year course, every year you have to pay between 15 to 20,000 pounds. Can you afford that as a parent? If you can't, you may move to the UK. Doesn't mean so if, that may not be the it may not be good for it may not be the best decision for your kid at the time. So we have a lot of children who their peers are back home already in the university, but they're in the UK, they're not going to school because their parents can afford university. So I think it's something I always tell people to think about because I found a lot of young people from Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Kenya who have not been able to progress after their secondary education in the UK because they can't afford the international fees. Now, the other question so that's just on the side. The other thing to think about is what is in this for you? Are you coming just because, oh, it sounds like everybody's getting global talent? If you're not going to be able to stay in the UK at least 180 days in a year, I mean, like 6 months in a year, there's no point. It may not be the right route for you because you just have a situation where if you bring your family, you the main applicant, we have situations where people have applied for global talent, they don't meet the residency requirement, their family will just remain in the UK, but they can't get indefinite leave unless the main person who got the global talent gets their indefinite leave. So will I encourage people to apply for global talent? Of course, I think it's been a very useful route for me. I came in 2021. I got my indefinite leave last February, and I've been able to move. I mean, I moved with my husband almost immediately, and we've been able to settle here. We have a home here. There's a lot of things that are different in the UK in terms of how you plan your life. UK, if you want to own a property in the UK, you're able to speak to the bank to get a mortgage if you're credit worthy anyway. But in some other jurisdiction or some other countries, it's quite challenging for you to even get a small loan to even start your business. Not talk about getting a mortgage to pay long term. So those are some of the things that some people sometimes find attractive about the UK. The ease to be able to access funding and then pay back gradually. So sometimes some people feel like, okay, well, back in their own countries, they buy a property and the government can just wake up and say, oh, sorry, we're reclaiming this property, and people don't get compensated. But they move to a place like this where you bought a property and the next few weeks your name is already in the land registry. For some people, that's the incentive, the peace of mind that they need to be able to go to what we call senior clients, where you know that, okay, well, if you have access to a lot of amenities, you pay your taxes, and you can see your tax in use. So why those of you in the UK, I will still maintain again that if you do not meet the criteria, think about other opportunities back in your own countries and move back to your own country. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. And there are also other countries that need your talent. There are over 200 countries in the world. So it doesn't mean that you have to stay in the UK illegally or try to go on an endless loop of studying and studying, but yet you can't afford the fees. You go on to do a PhD when you can't afford to pay tuition, and eventually you get your student visa revoked. So I think I hope we've been able to kind of shed some light on the opportunities and some of the challenges with the recent global talent application process. And we hope that for those who are truly meet the requirement, by all means apply. And know that you may not get endorsed at the first instance, but if you take back the feedback, or if you think there's an error in your application, you can respectfully communicate it to the assessor if there are material evidence in your application that were ignored. You can get your decision overturned, or you go back to the drawing board and resubmit a fresh application. But be mindful not to submit anything that is fraudulent or anything that would give the impression as if you're not a genuine applicant. All right, thanks everyone, and thanks Midi and Buddy for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. You've been so kind with time. Thank you very much. All right. We do hope when we call on you next time, you grant us audience once again. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time today. We're grateful. Right. Do you want to tell us where we can find you on social media? If
Uh, I'm on LinkedIn, but
I know you
I'm
do.
on LinkedIn.
I was going to say she's on LinkedIn. She does a lot of write-up on LinkedIn, but I wanted you to say it.
No, I don't even do as much write-up because sometimes you can be busy with your day job. But the other place to find me is on Tech Nation Discourse Forum, TN Visa Discourse Forum. Um, I think a lot of people sometimes just come on LinkedIn to ask me to help them review the application, but I don't have the bandwidth to review individual applications. But if you ask me question, if you want to ask me question, you go on the TN Visa forum, or you go on the Emigrate WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah.
Then I'm able to respond to your questions there.
All right. Thank you very much. We do really appreciate that. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll just mention again that, today we're talking about settling in the UK, but there are other visa routes, right? Like the individual founder visa to get to the UK. There is also the settle in the UK route that we just talked about today. There is the what they call now, the work visa route for the UK, right? So you can apply for a job, but all you need to do is, again, you need to build that portfolio of yours. You need to build that resume. You need to make sure you are dotting the I's and crossing the T, and you're not building your portfolio to apply. Francisca said that just to apply for technician. You're building it because you want to become a better professional. You're building it for your own self. You're trying to grow your visibility also. All right. If you do come to the technicians community and you're asking, what can I get? All right. We help you become globally attractive, like I said before. We also give you coaching and guidance, all right, depending on the route that you're taking. And most of the time, our coaching sessions are personalized coaching sessions from experts who have knowledge and experiential knowledge, not just head knowledge. They've lived the path and they can explain to you how they went through it and share with you knowledge that you can leverage. We also have tech career road mapping. So again, if you are looking for a job in the tech space, if you're looking for how to navigate the tech space, especially for newbies and junior developers or intermediaries, we can help you develop a tech career roadmap, right? We do review and assessment, right? For Global Talent Visa, we can help with those. And we can also help you structure your application, right, in such a way that you are putting your best foot forward, right? So that is what we do essentially within the Emigrate community. All right, I see someone saying, how do I get the free coaching session? Use the link to join on any of our community. And in the community, whether the WhatsApp or Telegram community, just type, I was part of the August 20th open day session, right? And our admin on that community or in that community is going to connect you to the coach where you have your 10-minute coaching session. It's free, right? And you can leverage on that. So this is Emigrate Open Day. We talk about everything tech visa opportunity and everything tech here, all right? And this comes to you twice a month, all right? The first Wednesday of the month and the third Wednesday of the month. So look out for our next edition in September, right? But we can continue the conversation in our communities. Join the communities, invite your friends to join the communities. We can't possibly answer everybody's question. We can't possibly review everybody's application process, but we can answer questions that will benefit everybody within a closed community. So thank you for your time today. If you have any other thoughts, we would be in our community and we will be able to take them there, right? If you're looking for how to reach us, again, use the chat and we can share with you. But go to emigrate.com/emigrate, and we will be there. We have a short form for you to fill, right? Subsequent editions are coming through. So we'll be talking about innovator founder visa. We'll be talking about move to the UK. Just look towards our social media handles, and we would be putting up information as to who is coming, what we are talking about next, right? But however, if you want to reach us directly, use the number on this particular slide to send us a WhatsApp message or text, and there would be someone at the end of that messaging to respond to you and connect you with the right information or the right resource that you need. Thank you, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll speak again in the first week in September. Thank you, everyone. Take care now.
Bye.
All right, bye.